Go ahead, Chair.
Great. And then going from there, welcome everyone. The time is 10:02, so we'll be beginning the open session of the CBLS. So starting at 10:02, this is a hybrid meeting. So like a regular in-person meeting of the CBLS, it is recorded and it will be archived on the State Bar's website. The CBLS will take items on the agenda in the order that they appear, and votes for any items will be taken by roll call. So with that, let's begin the initial roll call for attendance.
Sure. Alano?
Present.
Bennett?
Present.
Jenkins?
Present.
Lee?
Present.
McGlory?
Present.
Rukert? Not present. And Sermitis?
Present.
There's 6 members. We have quorum, Chair.
Very good. So I begin with the initial meeting reminders. As required by the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, members are to appear visibly on camera during teleconference meetings, except if a member is unable to appear by video due to connectivity challenges. We ask that any members who are present with their cameras off state their names and reasons for not being on camera. Additionally, if a member joins the meeting after roll call, they should raise their hand virtually to notify the chair and the public of their presence. If their camera is off, they should provide an explanation. Members should also raise their hands when leaving and returning to the meeting if they will be absent for more than 5 minutes. So with that, we will begin the initial process for call for public comment. So the item on the agenda here is for public comment. Before we begin public comment, I would like to remind everyone that under the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, public comments must pertain to the items that are on the agenda or be related to matters that are within the jurisdiction of this agency. Specifically, the committee exercises oversight on the program of California program of legal specialization. Members of the public wishing to comment were encouraged to submit written comments prior to the meeting to ensure that the committee would have time to consider these comments. The committee has received and read all the written public comments, and we thank you all for that. To facilitate hearing as many members of the public as possible, I encourage you not to repeat points that were made by previous speakers. As the chair of the CBLS, I'm going to exercise the option to limit each speaker's time to 2 minutes so that we may be efficient today. For those who are participating by Zoom video, you should have a function for virtually raising your hand. It is a hand icon and should appear at the bottom center of your screen. If you wish to address the committee, please click on the hand icon now, and the committee coordinator will call on you in the order that hands are raised. For those of you who are participating by phone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That is the star key, then the number 9. Again, doing so will alert staff that you would like to make a comment, and the committee coordinator will call on you and open your microphone so that you can address the committee. For those who are participating from a noticed location, please alert the committee member or the State Bar staff member present in the room that you would like to make comment. Staff will have an on-screen countdown timer visible to all attendees during the duration of your public comment. The timer's 2-minute countdown will begin as soon as you start your comment. The on-screen timer will flash throughout the final 10 seconds. I'll call, do we have anyone that wishes to make public comments? And I believe we do. So I will turn that over to our administrator to facilitate the comments.
Sure. If okay, I just wanted to ask the members, are there any members of the public at any of your notice locations?
None for me.
Great.
None.
Okay.
Oh, hearing none, it appears that we have no
Sure.
members of the public at noticed locations.
So I'll go ahead and go to the advanced sign up. We did get one from Eric Hirschberg. Eric, your microphone's been enabled. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Hello, board. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Welcome.
Hi. So I just wanted to come and make a comment on behalf of my law firm and my partner, Mark Lester. I know Mr. Lee, he emailed you separately regarding his concerns. We had previously submitted a letter signed by him and many other specialists as to the concerns about the state bar usurping the specialization board. I think it's under section 3.2 today. So on behalf of Mr. Lester and myself, we just wanted to, and the rest of the signers of that letter, we wanted to bring it to the board's attention and ask that the board seek separate legal counsel to advise it as to this work with the state bar trying to dissolve the specialization board. So we think that there's probably an inherent conflict with the state bar's counsel representing the board of specialization as well. And we think it would be advisable to bring in separate counsel. So I just wanted to put that on the record. So thank you.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Mr. Hirschberg. And I believe that the letter from Mark Lester and the other signers is part of the board's record, and thus would be considered in due course. And then, of course, this can also be raised to the Board of Trustees directly as well, which may also be appropriate. So thank you very much for that comment. And Mr. Galan, have we more comments?
There are no other advanced signups, and I do not see anyone with their hands raised in the public attendance.
Very good. Well, with appearing that there are no further requests for public comment, that will conclude our public comment section, and we will move on to our reports. So this is our second meeting for the CBLS year for 2025. This appointment period has closed, and this is the report from myself regarding applications for the CBLS. So this is an appointment year. The appointment period has closed, and a total of 11 applicants submitted applications for the CBLS. And due to the ongoing sub-entity review, staff is pausing new member and alternate appointments to the CBLS. Only officer appointments are moving forward at this time, with all other appointments to be reconsidered once a final decision on CBLS's future is made. So we have the happy news that Mr. George Sermitis will be moving to chair, and Mr. Damon Jenkins will be moving to vice chair, each for a one-year term. And I will be moving off the board. My term has concluded. And at the May Board of Trustees meeting, the board, this is news regarding the status of CBLS. At the May Board of Trustees meeting, the board withdrew the recommendation to sunset the CBLS at this time. They are scheduled to revisit the recommendation in the fall of this year. So for questions, comments, concerns on that, it is moving to the Board of Trustees calendar for the fall of this year. So with that, that concludes my chair report. We will move on to the open session minutes review. So on to the approval of the January 17th, 2025 CBLS open meeting minutes. I'd ask that you all take a look to review the meeting minutes from January 17th of this year. And pause for a moment for that. And if I may kindly ask for a motion to approve those minutes, or if anyone has any comments, questions, or concerns on those minutes, please kindly raise them.
Okay, I will move to approve those minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second the motion.
Thank you. We have a second. Shall we proceed to roll call vote?
Of course. Alano,
Approve.
Bennett,
Approve.
Jenkins,
Approve.
McGlory,
Approve.
Ruckert absent, Sermitis,
Approve.
and Lee.
Approve.
With 6 yeses and 0 nos, the minutes are approved.
Very good. Thank you all. So concluding the open session minutes, we will now move on to staff reports. So we will introduce the report on key statistical indicators regarding the legal specialization program. So this is the standing item where we like to provide program metrics to give everyone an idea of the overall program health. So I will turn this over. I believe, Cody, you will be introducing this item. Correct?
I will. Yes. Thank you so much, Chair.
Sure.
Well, I
I had an opportunity to introduce myself to the members. I reviewed our statistical indicators for the first time prior to this meeting and was really interested at some of the findings. I'm eager to share this with you. Let me get my screen sharing going here so that I can share these tables with you and the public. Just 1 second. Okay. 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 So first, just starting at sort of a 30,000-foot view, we wanted to share with members the total number of certified specialists for 2025 year to date, as well as those same figures as they were last year up until June 1st. So let me clarify that these are figures that we pulled at the end of May. And so we're showing a comparison between the figures at the end of May of 2025 and the figures at the end of May 2024. What we've seen here is a modest increase in the specialty areas of family law, immigration and nationality law, and workers' compensation law. I'm sorry, go back here. There we go. We see there's 3 areas in which there's no year-over-year change. And then we observed a modest decrease in the areas of bankruptcy law, estate planning, trust and probate law, legal malpractice, and taxation law. I wanted to highlight that family law and estate planning, trust and probate law continue to represent the largest share of participants. Almost half of certified specialists are within these categories. This is of interest because this trend was identified in the 2017 sub-entity review as an opportunity for improvement. At that time, it was shared that these areas tend to be legal specialty areas that serve more affluent Californians. And so there was a directive from the board at that time to focus on areas that would increase access to justice. That's going to be, I think, a theme in much of what I present today is this focus around access to justice. But I wanted to point out here that these 2 areas still continue to represent a large portion of our certified specialists. Moving on, we've got our figures representing the applications that were received. These are applications for initial certification. And again, this represents the numbers as of the end of May 2025, along with a comparison up to the end of May 2024. What we've seen is a decline in the initial certification applications over the past 3 months of this year compared to the same period last year. We need to explore this further. I think one possible explanation could be that we are nearing the 18-month deadline for those to submit an application following the last exam cycle. So perhaps there are some number of individuals who have not submitted a certification or have requested an extension. I think it's still early to determine whether this is part of a longer-term trend of decreasing applications. But it's notable and it's something I think we'll continue to monitor. Now we're moving on to applications for recertification. What we see here is that during the first 4 months of 2025, there was, again, a decrease in the recertification applications that were received. By the end of the month, in May, we had received a total of 347 recertification applications, and that's compared to 501 at the end of May 2024. Again, I think this is an important trend to monitor. It may be too early to identify a longer-term trend, but particularly in the light of the overall decrease, modest decrease in total program participants, this is something that we should continue to track and see if this bears out any long-term trend. Now we're moving on to approvals. What we saw is that the number of initial certifications applications that were approved is also down. This mirrors that trend in the submitted application. So that does make sense. We have fewer applications submitted and thus we have fewer applications approved. Interestingly, though, when looking at the number of applications for recertification, this is a positive development. This is where we saw the total number of approved applications at the end of May 2025 increase compared to the year prior. Again, I think we need to give this more time to have a better sense of the why. But if I could perhaps speculate, this could be due to the fact that we here at the State Bar have kind of successfully completed our reorganization of the legal specialization program, in which admissions and regulation kind of manage distinct components of the program. What I see here is perhaps an indication that that dust is settled and staff are really operating at an efficient level to move applications. Now, the last set of figures I want to share with CBLS is our number of resignations. So as of May 31st, 2025, we received 85 resignations. That's compared to 111 the year before. What I think is interesting about these figures is the cited reason for the resignations. Last year, 40, so about a third of the individuals who resigned cited retirement as the reason for that. In 2025, about 37, roughly half of those that we've received to date have selected the other category. So I think this is an opportunity for us to really dig deeper and gain a better sense of what that means. We need some more clarity and some more resolution to understand what's driving those resignations. Okay, that's it on the statistical indicators. Happy to take any questions or provide some clarity about the figures shared.
Yes, that's interesting with the increase in the selection of the other button is retirements. I think we feel okay with retirements. That's the natural course of our careers. But it is a little bit of a concern that if people are selecting not to recertify and are not wanting to join, that may be an area to gently explore with some seeking some response feedback of why are they leaving that particular area of practice. Is it because of the continuing education requirements? Is it some other problem that we don't know about? That would be interesting to know. Great. Any other thoughts on our statistical report? Oh, yes, Mr. Jenkins.
Is the other button, is that what a judge would click on or is there a different button if they become a judge? So I was just thinking the one person that I know that was a specialist just recently got on the bench.
So judges are going to be slightly different. Certified specialists who get appointed into judicial service, they can have their legal specialization certification told while they're engaged in that service. And then when they return back to practice, they will be reinstated with their legal specialization certification.
Interesting. Yeah, so we have some work to do on figuring that out.
I would, if I could quickly, Chair, just add, these I think are great points and questions. In the Office of Admissions, we've also added some new support from our Office of Research and Statistics, as well as a data analyst. And so I think there's an opportunity either within the Office of Admissions or the Office of Regulation to revisit some of the data that we collect with fresh eyes and really maximize the information that we're gathering from those. So we'll set those as some opportunities to explore this year.
Oh, Member McGlory, please join.
Just a quick question. So in order to get more information about the other, does the State Bar account, do we go out and do a survey of them with follow-up questions? To
Yeah,
ask
Adrian, maybe you can.
There is
Go ahead,
a
Adrian.
blank field when they indicate other that they can provide. They don't always submit a reason or what that specific reason is, but we can definitely look into that. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to ask what the specific reason was. I don't
Okay.
necessarily know we'd get a response, but
Right.
we can at least try.
That might be an interesting tactic to after it occurs and then click other to have a gentle email to just say, would you mind telling us why you didn't want to stay on? Which I think I've they do that for restaurants. If you give like not so many stars, they'll ask like, what happened to us, and it can be illuminating. Fantastic. Any other thoughts before we move on to our next item? Oh, great. We'll now be moving on to our next item, the recent developments regarding the legal specialization program and the state bar. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Hunanian to introduce that section.
Thank you so much.
I pronounced your name correctly.
You did. I wasn't gonna say it out loud, but yes, you nailed it. And that's always a challenge for individuals. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Well, I just have a few updates to share with the members here. First, I wanted to just start with an introduction of who I am and why I'm here. My name's Cody Hunanian. I'm a program director here in the Office of Admissions, and I'm now leading our legal specialization team and our exam development team. Why that's important is I want to share that the Office of Admissions has undergone some restructuring in the last few months. Some of this in response to some of the challenges we faced in the February 2025 bar examination. There has been an emphasis and a focus on providing support and capacity and personnel to areas of the Office of Admissions work that are critical and core program needs. That includes exam development. That also includes our legal specialization exams here. So not only am I a new face here for the board, but I am also, I think, a representation of some of the efforts that have been undergone since the February exam as a response and accountability measures to really shore up the work that the Office of Admissions is responsible for. Now to news, I think, related specifically to the board. I wanted to first share that the State Bar is excited to announce that we have completed rebranding of the CBLS logo and the legal specialization logo and brochures that are available to specialists. A new digital seal was developed for all specialists, which will replace the old version. And there's now a seal for each certification area, so it calls out their specific expertise a little more clearly. Similarly, the brochures have been updated with this new style and formatting in mind, and those brochures will be available to order online. We will be sending an email to all specialists. I believe that's today, if not within the next few days, announcing this. And the email will include links to the new seals. It'll have instructions on how the seal can be used and a link to the platform for ordering those new brochures as well. So this is all part of, I think, keeping our that seal and the meaning behind it fresh and as effective as possible.
Great. Excellent.
And
oh, please.
Chair, one last update was just related to the May 2025 board meeting. You shared with the members already that the board withdrew the discussion around its sub-entity reviews. There was a positive development, though. The board did approve for circulation to public comment the draft standards for the new privacy law specialty area that's been proposed. I'm very excited to see that and to gather that input. I know this group has worked on that for many years, and so this is the next big step. So public comment will be opened, and I believe it will be available beginning today, and the public comment period will last for 90 days, and that will end on September 11th, 2025.
Very good. Very good. Any other items for recent developments? Or we can move on to the business of the day. So very good. So moving on to those core CBLS business of today, we'll have the discussion for recommendation for streamlining the development of new specialty areas for the CBLS. And I believe we have some slides to accompany this, so we can.
I do. Let me get that shared again.
No rush. So I could start with the introductory items here. So introductory note is creating a process for streamlining the development of the new specialty areas. So the privacy law specialty area has now been approved by the board, as we saw with draft standards out for public comment, as we've been informed. However, the board did raise several concerns that warrant discussion as we consider ways to improve our process moving forward. So these comments are especially relevant as we revisit our processes and evaluation criteria today. So the first item we have is alignment with board goals. So some trustees questioned whether CBLS is making progress toward the Board of Trustees 2018 directive to identify legal specializations that increase access to justice. So we'll be discussing ways to better align our future work with this directive today. It may be helpful to CBLS to highlight relevant findings from the State Bar's recently published 2024 Justice Gap Study. So these were significant. Pardon me, just one moment. Okay, back. So it may be helpful for the CBLS to highlight relevant findings for the State Bar's recently published 2024 Justice Gap Study. So what was found was only 25% of California's legal market serves individual clients. CBLS may be most impactful if it focuses future efforts on the people law sector serving individuals. Only 25% of California's legal market serves individual clients. CBLS may be, this is a repeat of the two. So this focus on individual clients is something that we likely wish to highlight. So there's a desire for additional information from the Board of Trustees. So the Board of Trustees requested more transparency around the specific criteria used to evaluate whether a proposed area qualifies as a legal specialization. And today's agenda includes a review of our current criteria with an eye towards ensuring they support the access to justice goal. So an additional area that was of concern was lack of familiarity with CBLS's processes. So some trustees were not familiar with the steps CBLS takes to research and evaluate new specialties, the depth and timeline of the process. And several board members felt that they lacked sufficient information to make a fully informed decision as to the specialty because the process was not as readily knowable as perhaps it should be. So some trustees also were not familiar with the steps CBLS takes to research and evaluate new specialties, the depth and timeline of the process. So this is what we are seeking to review. So any questions on this? I believe we have some slides as we were going through. Is where we slide.
I can facilitate the discussion if that's okay.
Oh, yes, please do. Yes.
Great. Well, I'm glad that you had an opportunity to kind of share your perspectives and sort of translate the feedback that we received from the board. I do want to note the feedback was, I think, constructive. It was helpful, but I do also want to point out that I think the members here know that there was an extensive process that went into developing the privacy log specialty area, and I really appreciate the member from the specialty law group who came and spoke to the board and really shared a lot of detail about that process. So that was certainly informative. But today we want to talk about some enhancements to the process related to developing new specialty areas. And I started my discussion earlier, the chair said it, and I'm going to repeat it. I really want to try to focus this discussion around the board's directive that CBLS really invest its efforts into access to justice issues. So I'm going to guide us through, I think, a couple of areas in the process where enhancements are possible from staff's vantage point. I'd like to kind of tee up a few possible discussion points, but then I'd like to pause and leave it to members here to take the discussion from there and not only explore the areas that we're introducing, but also provide your own feedback as well. So first, we should probably start, like, why are we having this discussion today? We have heard a desire, I think, from members and as well, and from other decision makers at the state bar for there to be a more proactive way to identify new specialty areas. I believe that there is interest and there's always continuous opportunity for process improvement and enhancement. And then there's also been at least one member who's shared thoughts about a possible new specialty area. I believe that those comments were related to a personal injury law specialty area. But we really felt like before the board explores another new area, that this was a good time to take a step back, assess the process, and really create the best possible process moving forward for assessing either this personal injury law proposal or other areas that come to the surface. So I want to first just walk through the current process. And this process should look familiar because for the most part, this represents what the privacy law specialty area has gone through. But I'm going to point out there are a few additional details here that were unrelated to that process, but that are relevant to the process overall. So when it comes to proposing a new specialty area, of course, as was the case with the privacy law specialty area, members of the public can submit a request for CBLS to explore a new privacy law area. However, CBLS itself can initiate the process by motion. That has not been the case recently, and I'm not sure that I could say when, well, I cannot say when it was last used, but that is an option, and that's an option that could allow CBLS to be more proactive in initiating the process. Once an application or a motion has initiated the process, staff present to CBLS initial research. And at that point, CBLS decides whether to form a consulting group to further explore this, just like the privacy law group. Following that, the consulting group may draft standards. CBLS itself can draft the standards if it chooses. I think for the consulting group for privacy law, they participate a lot in that process, but it's kind of an either or. Once the draft standards are at an appropriate level that they've been approved by the CBLS recommends to the Board of Trustees that they circulate the draft standards for public comment. That's where we're at in the process with the privacy law group. Now, I'm not sure this has been in a discussion with members here, but we have some internal documentation that suggests that the next step would be that public comment goes back to the consulting group, they analyze it, they propose revisions, and then they bring any changes to CBLS for final approval. And I'm highlighting that because I think that's an area where we're going to talk about some possible future streamlining. Of course, the end of the process is CBLS recommends those final standards, and then the Board of Trustees ultimately approves the final standards. At that point, it's staff's responsibility to implement the new specialty area. So I think a good way to break up today's discussion is into kind of buckets. First, I want us to review the process. This is what I've just shown you, and we could talk about maybe some possible improvements there. So I want to go through some recommendations or at least some discussion points. We'll stop, we'll talk about the process, and then I want to talk about the criteria for assessing a proposed area. So based on some of the feedback that we received from the Board of Trustees, one possible enhancement to the process that we just showed you would be to seek board feedback perhaps earlier in the process. It could be that CBLS goes to the Board of Trustees after initial research is conducted, but before officially forming a consultant group. What that would allow is for the Board of Trustees to signal its interest in the area before the process has really spent a lot of time, resources, and capacity on later steps. This would also, of course, I think, address some of the feedback that members of the board shared, which was that they felt that they didn't know much about the process or the work that had been done, and that they were kind of being involved later in the process. This could bring the board in very early in the process. So that's one possible discussion point. I think a second opportunity, since we identified the fact that CBLS itself can introduce new specialty areas, initiate the process through motion, is that if it decides, if the board decides that's what it would like to do, that perhaps we clarify kind of what the process is for doing so. And that would allow CBLS to feel more confidently about proactively initiating proposals. So this, one way to perhaps do this could be that the board kind of regularly assesses possible specialty areas, perhaps timed with the publication of the State Bar's access to, or justice gap study, as a way to kind of connect the dots between the State Bar's research in access to justice issues and this board's discussions about new specialty areas, kind of using the most recent findings and research on the matter of justice gap and access to justice. Again, these are possible discussion points. Third, it could be helpful to establish kind of uniform criteria for developing a consulting group. I believe that was not necessarily the case for the privacy law group. And I state that not saying that the group was not the right level of membership. I think that it was had members that are had high expertise in the areas that they were discussing. But you can imagine perhaps in the future that there's some more clarity. So perhaps the public member that's in a consulting group, maybe one of the requirements is that they themselves have experience in consumer protection, in advancing access to justice. This could be a way to make sure that the members that are added to the board kind of meet certain criteria that are, again, advancing the goals. Another example could be seeking sufficient representation from those who practice this people law concept, individuals who are practicing in service to members of the public, not businesses or large entities, making sure that they're fully represented. That could be some minimum threshold that we establish in the character of the members that are in the consulting groups. And then lastly, before I cede the floor and let members explore these topics, was this public comment piece. I want to note that CBLS always reserves the right to refer draft standards back to the consulting group. And so it could be that when public comment is received about a new specialty area, that it goes back to CBLS first, and this group can determine whether it needs to return to the consulting group. It could be an opportunity to remove a step in the process and also ensure that you all are involved and kind of are the first touch point for receiving and understanding the public comment that's received. So those are a few thoughts. I do want to pause, open up the floor for discussion, and of course, we welcome other possible improvements as well.
Well, Cody, you actually touched on a lot of my thoughts, and that it seems like it's been rather passive for a while, and I'd like the board to be proactive. I'd like to know, are we able now to make proposals? That is, let's say at the next meeting, if there were some areas that we wish to explore or suggest be looked at for possible additions, are we able to do that, make that recommendation?
Yeah, my understanding is yes. I think where there's the lack of clarity would be what constitutes kind of a request. If a member says, I'm interested in this area, of course, staff can take that back and bring information. But one of the thoughts here was kind of establishing a more regular cadence for these discussions so that the board members here are kind of prepared to talk about these topics robustly, that all proposals can kind of be brought to the table at the same time. Maybe a more structured approach would ensure that the discussion's as effective as possible. I think the reason we brought this up today is because, as I understand it, there's maybe at least one member who's interested in exploring personal injury law. But as I understand it, it's been like a comment that we've received, and it's perhaps not clear whether that should initiate staff research and an agenda item for the future. And so I think we're interested in understanding maybe how we can build some structure around the board introducing ideas and then giving us better guidance on what we should be really investing our time into exploring.
And so would it be helpful, and I don't think we're able to do this today, but to provide at least some comments and recommendations regarding a structure for that, because I want to get this process moving, and not just for personal injury law, but areas such as labor law, labor and employment, which impacts the public, and areas that align with access to justice. Can we develop recommendations prior to the next meeting and then for discussion at that meeting regarding the process?
Yeah, I think today is a discussion item, so I think now is a time to share your thoughts and recommendations. I don't think we can take any action on those recommendations, but any feedback we receive today we'll take back, and we can bring to the board at a future meeting, perhaps with further discussion or an action if it's appropriate.
Great. It looks like Member Bennett has her hand up. Please join.
I'm trying to lower that thing, but just had a quick question around, will there be costs for the consulting group? Or that's going to be State Bar staff, active members, or separate costs to have the consulting group?
Well, and Adrian, I welcome some of your input on this. The consulting group for the privacy law specialty area was not staff. They were attorney members and members of the public. Adrian, I don't know if we've kind of associated any cost to administering those groups. Maybe you can speak to that more than I can.
Since they met remotely, it would have just been staff time to support those meetings, as well as like a public member per diem for those public members. But outside of the staff overhead, there's no additional cost to the program.
Yeah. Yes, I have a comment there for some thoughts on this. Is historically I think the idea of having perhaps a regular calendar item or a regular procedure that is set, every second meeting of the year, et cetera, where the CBLS can try to solicit input from the public, from other attorneys as to what specialties are needed, is in my experience on the board, one of the challenges that we've had is I think almost all of us on the board are specialist attorneys or members of the public, and so we know our specialty, but then perhaps we are so overly specialized we are not familiar with other areas intimately. And it may be effective. Let's say that we have a annual or biannual call to solicit, I would say, public. In other words, bring us your proposals, because we work well when we receive the proposals and we debate them, but we are maybe not well suited for creating the program just out of the ether. And looking at this, the California Lawyers Association, they have their sections, and taking a look at it, they have intellectual property law, labor and employment. They have privacy law has pivoted over. They're now in the process. They have real property law. It seems that they have a vision and understanding that this is a distinct area of law, and perhaps that group may feel that their area warrants specialization, and they perhaps have already done some of the groundwork that would be more efficient for us to if they like privacy law have a vision of this, that then we can begin the process to make a specialization. To me, that seems that may be more efficient, because being on the board about 4 years, it was quite challenging, I think, for us to come up with ideas on our own. We could come up with ideas of what areas of specialty, but then we'd say, well, how do you create that? Well, I don't know. I've never practiced that before. I just heard, and so that is a challenge.
And Chair, if I can also offer, I think a structure like that would allow the members to also compare proposals at the same time, because I think we saw with the privacy law group, it's a long-term commitment. And once you go down that track, I'm not sure I'm not sure the members here can entertain more proposals. And so it's opportunity to kind of put them all on the table and assess them side by side before any long-term commitments made, which I think would be an improvement.
Yeah, and I think that idea of kind of regularly addressing the issue would be helpful, so it stays top of mind through the just the work of the CBLS. I think that all sounds good. So any other thoughts or questions before we actually will be moving on to a different direction?
Okay, if I could, I want to then talk about the evaluation criteria for new specialty. I think this is the other part of the whole process that we can explore some opportunities. So I wanted to just reintroduce what are our current criteria, and these criteria were developed in March 2020. I'm not going to go through all of these bullet points, but in general, the measuring sticks for a new specialty area are whether or not there's a perceived consumer need. Would this specialty area provide value to consumers? Is it feasible to introduce this specialty area? What is the level of interest and support from practitioners? And lastly, kind of the practical viability. Can this actually be implemented from a practical standpoint? Some of the considerations there being, are there enough educators to provide continuing education? Are there enough practicing attorneys to sustain the program? So these are the criteria that sort of exist today. And I want to just share, this is a part of the application that the public can submit. And it just very broadly asks those questions. There's not much guidance. And they typically provide like a narrative response to each one of these questions. So with that, I wanted to tee up a few opportunities here as well. Again, I'm going to be a broken record today, but there's the possibility to kind of emphasize these access to justice questions within this application itself, and also just within the criteria established by CBLS, so that whenever CBLS is assessing a new proposal, that access to justice is squarely within that criteria. It's something that essentially seems to be missing at this point. To add some color to that, again, I want to point to the Justice Gap study. There are some interesting questions there that could be starting points for some enhancement here. For example, what are the most common legal issues experienced by the consumers in a certain area? This could provide some insight into, again, kind of are these the types of issues that impact individuals, that impact certain vulnerable groups of individuals? Some extra information there could be of value. Another question sort of inspired by the Justice Gap study, how do these legal issues impact the lives of the consumers who seek this type of legal help? Again, this can give us some information about perhaps the financial burden of some services, or I think you can imagine many different things. If it's in our immigration specialty area, there are huge impacts there. But if we get some more information about kind of the day-to-day impact, maybe that lends some insight into this expanding access issue. And thirdly, what obstacles prevent consumers from seeking or receiving this legal help in the proposed area. These are all squarely access to justice questions that are missing from our current assessment and application. Again, these are just some ideas, but they're demonstrative of some opportunities to really enhance the criteria. Secondly, I showed the application itself. I think there's an opportunity to clarify what is asked on the application, as opposed to maybe some open-ended narratives. The application itself could be more tailored and narrowly focused, so that you, as members on CBLS, can receive the information you feel is most important to make an informed decision, as opposed to leaving it up to the requester to kind of make some assumptions about what is important to the members here. It could be that CBLS establishes clear criteria for some of the elements of the assessment, the criteria assessment. So essentially setting benchmarks. Some examples could be setting a clear number of estimated practitioners in the space, essentially saying if there are not this number of attorneys in this space, we won't proceed with the proposal. And that maybe can help focus attention on areas that have that feasibility and viability criteria clearly met. Another opportunity could be setting the minimum number of available education and training providers, recognizing that that is a critical component to the long-term success of a specialty area. So again, I think as it exists today, it sort of leaves the individual making the request and staff to share what information we can find, but it doesn't establish kind of a clear threshold that needs to be met. And if the members chose to introduce something like that, it could add some clarity to the criteria. So again, just a few talking points that I wanted to introduce, but I'll pass it back to the members, and we can talk about whether there's opportunities to enhance the criteria and the application, the criteria within the application as well.
Great. Any questions or comments there? Well, very good. With that, I believe this is the end of our open session and the end of our open session items. So CBLS will now be moving to closed session. So for our remote members, we will leave and log out of this meeting so that we may log into the closed session, and the link has been provided to you. Will we be wanting to take a 5 to 6 minute break and come back at 11, or should we just go straight on? Preference at all?
A 5-minute break would be great.
Yeah, I think that would be
I
good.
agree.
I would agree.
Good job, Ambassador.
Yes, perhaps we'll exit the open session. We will come back at let's say, do we want to come back at do we want to do 11:05? Give us 10 minutes.
Sure.
Come back at 11:05, and then we will be returning to open session to adjourn the meeting at the conclusion of the closed session. So we will log out now, and then we will rejoin the closed session at 11:05. Very good. Great, Adrian, feel free to let me know once we have everybody we need.
It's up to you if you want to wait for Ms. Bennett, but we don't need to take roll call or anything to return back.
Oh, yes, yes, Member Bennett is here. I think Ms. Member McGlory, I think is she in the attendees zone? Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And do we have, looks like it. Do we have, has everyone returned, Adrian? I think we're here. Okay, very good. Well, thank you all. We have returned to the open session after completion of the closed session. So we will be proceeding towards adjournment. Though there are some thoughts that I think we may want to consider. One is really, I think, mainly informational. The first part, and informational just on what is known for the direction of CBLS, as there was a proposal for the Board of Trustees regarding a sunset review and a sunset process. I believe that was originally scheduled for earlier this year, but has now been moved towards the fall of this year. So I think one of the concerns, or I will speak for myself alone, the concern that I have for the future of CBLS is I think it would be helpful to have a greater understanding of what the future will hold, really for the members of CBLS, if there is a transition, what that will look like. I think there's also, it would be helpful information regarding where we are in this process. I think there's also concerns on my side regarding sunset review, and this may be more appropriate to raise with the Board of Trustees, is more of the matter of timing. Committee of Bar Examiners is very busy right now. They are engaged in very important and significant work to do very important and good things for the bar. Maybe taking on our program at this time may not be the best use of their resources. Perhaps they can complete the tasks that they need, and we would address this in due course after some time. There was something that has been mentioned in the public comment section regarding counsel, whether or not State Bar Counsel or outside counsel is warranted. I take no position on that. It was simply raised, but it has been raised. So those are the thoughts. I think the overall concern is really the members of CBLS care about this program very deeply, and can care about quality lawyering and the rule of law very deeply. And so we would like to know the direction so that we can make the program as good as it can be in an appropriate way. And that maybe in various forms, and maybe not necessarily CBLS, maybe in another form, but we would like to know the direction that it's going to go, and perhaps be part of that process, because perhaps we've learned a little bit from administering the program for so long. So those are my 2 cents, and due to inflation, that's probably not worth very much, but that's all I have. Any other thoughts or comments before we conclude our June meeting and review for, or we will see each other again in the early fall?
Sorry, briefly, I just thought that the ideas of streamlining the specialization process, they were great. And Vice Chair Sirmitis' idea about kind of taking the initiative on the next specialization, I really appreciated that, and I hope that we can get the ball rolling on that. So thank you everyone for today.
I agree. Thank you.
Oh, yes, I actually really have to underline that. That's fantastic. I think we now have a procedure to do that in an effective way, and however that will be administered, that looks like a good way that will be very effective. So that also excellent work that I think will help the public and help move this program forward. And any other thoughts, questions, or concerns before we conclude? Well, hearing none, I think that will conclude. And then do we set the next meeting, is that already been set as to the date and time, or will that be done separately?
It's tentatively scheduled for August 29th.
Okay, so we have it tentatively scheduled for August 29th. That will go through the public notice process. So with that, we can adjourn this meeting. I thank you all and wish you the best of goodbyes until we meet again.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Take care
everyone.
all.
Good to see you all. Bye-bye.